Sagittarian matters, Sagittarian matters. What's the matter?
Sagittarian matters. Bran Taylor is a magical Sagittarius and the witch behind Magic Hour candles. My favorite magical candles. You can find Bran, their candles, and more at magichourcandles.com. Now, please enjoy my talk about this very Sagittarian conspiracy with Bran Taylor. Hi, Bran.
Well, hello, Nicole.
Welcome to the Sagittarian Matters Social Distancing Studios in Tahunga, California.
Thanks for having me. Hello from Portland, Oregon.
I brought you here. I summoned you to speak upon the finale of And Just Like That, season 2.
Wow.
I want to let it be known I haven't been recapping the show because new Samantha Irby worked on the show, and she's like the pinnacle of a guest who I would like to have on here.
Okay.
But since that moment, I've learned Michael Patrick King is to blame for all that is wrong with this show. And so I feel like we can honor and respect Samantha Irby and now bag upon Michael Patrick King, because I heard on good authority that he will basically take all the good work people have done on scripts and he'll just take his MPK pen and just do what he's going to do anyway. It just doesn't. He's like steering the ship. So the crew can be like, let's do this. And he'll like put that through his filters and barf it out in like the way that works the least.
Yeah, and set us back like however many decades with his antiquated ideas.
What can I ask you? What did you feel what was the point of Sex in the City in the first place? Because I felt like the point was like female friendships and they were each other's soulmates.
Mm-hmm. Agree. And I think that was not really like represented in the way that was like adult, career driven, and also like sexually open and free in the way like we had like Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants or something, or we had other types of like Fried Green Tomatoes type like deep friendships, but we didn't have the type of like like HBO After Dark type, a little bit risque. They're cussing, they're like spending hundreds of dollars on shoes. Like it was just like a thing where it's like, this is my life and I'm taking control. And that was kind of the first show like that. And I think it gave a lot of people permission to be like, yeah, I'm a New York girly.
I feel like And Just Like That has undone, like how can, like if it was about Carrie and her soulmates, I don't think that Bobby Lee is one of her soulmates. I don't think Jackie from X, Y, and Me and Smoke are her soulmates. I don't think Che Diaz is one of her soulmates. No. I think Nia Wallace doesn't even understand why she's there. Yeah. Nia Wallace has her own group of friends who are like, where have you been?
Yeah.
What are you doing hanging out with your students' friends?
Agree.
Anyway, let's get into the episode. How have you been feeling about this season?
Well, I'll be honest, I forget that it's on. And then when I've exhausted all of the like, alien abduction shows or drag race related content, I will go to Max, formerly known as HBO Max, and be like, oh yeah, this show exists. So I've actually been watching it like haphazardly when I'm at the end of my rope, or I'm honestly half paying attention. I did watch this finale though, because I will say it's pretty cringe. So I'll have to be like doing something else. It's a little bit like not quite background noise, but I'm half listening, half in and out. I did watch the finale all the way through and paid attention, but whoa, most of the time it's so cringe at times that I have to take a break.
I feel like, have you ever, the feeling of when you're hanging out with somebody and whatever their like life view is or their depression vibe is, it just feels like you're in like a cloud of their kind of yuck and their point of view. Mm-hmm. So when you stop hanging out with them, you want to like run through the streets screaming and like scrape off their vibe. That's how I feel when I'm watching the show. I feel like I'm hanging out with Michael Patrick King and getting his view of what aging is for women and his view of gays. And it is so depressing Like, I'm just like, why isn't Anthony have any gay friends? Why isn't he having the time of his life? Like, why are these women make aging look like such a bummer? But it's not.
Mm-hmm.
I have a good authority that there are queer people and women that are aging into their 50s and 60s and having a radical life.
Yeah, agree.
This show, I feel like everyone's crumbling apart and depressed.
And they
But-
have a lot of reverting back to like, well, this is who I am and this is about me. Like they have spent some sort of like 25 years or whatever the gap was between the last, when it was on TV and now, and then just like that. There's like some thing where they like were just sort of floating in the ether or something, and they will revert back to like, well, I'm a woman and I have things to say. And you're like, wasn't that always the case? Like, the like sort of assertion for assertion's sake it just to me feels like not the best writing, I have to say. Sorry, anybody who writes on this show, but it's just I don't really think they would actually talk like that,
Don't you think that they would like deepen and sharpen and
Yes.
get cooler
Yes.
and more ingrained? Like, I think about myself going to the home of someone who's like 10 to 15 years older than me, and I'm like, whoa, I'm Lisette. I'm like, whoa, you really got it down. This is really cool. But I don't feel like I would go into Carrie's house and see her being like, see you in 5 years, Aiden, and be like, cool.
That situation.
Or see that wallpaper and be like, cool. Okay, let's start at the start. Carrie apparently has been leaving that kitten in her empty apartment that she's already moved out of. The kitten's been living alone in the apartment. Carrie comes back to visit as she's like, somehow her apartment has transformed into like a place that's giant enough to host this party with this Michelin chef.
It just like literally grew overnight. Also, the kitten has like, professional fancy feasts before she even comes in the door. So who's feeding that cat?
Is Lisette feeding the cat? The cat's
Probably.
living a lot. The cat's living the Sex and the City lifestyle that we've been looking for.
Lisette is like a parentified child. She's definitely feeding that cat.
Oh, I hate Lisette. So the cat, whose name is Shoe. Come on.
I know.
Come on. What do you know about Carrie? Well, she's a single lady who loves shoes. What do you want to name her cat? Shoe. I think her cat should be named Little Edie, because if this show is not a prequel to Grey Gardens, I don't know what is.
Hallelujah. That would be a much better name. I also thought it was shoe, like shoe pastry, like French CHOU. And I was like, oh, that's pretty cute.
That is
But
cute.
it was like shoe, like a shoe on your foot, or shoe get away. I was like, oh, yeah.
Carrie's not fit for parenthood.
No.
Take the baby to a fire station, because this is not a fit home. She should leave the cat with Lisette.
Yeah. Agree.
Lisette seems like a cat person who could worship the cat. Carrie feels like she would forget about the cat. And then the cat
has.
Yeah. And then we find the cat. Anyway, not going to say. Okay. So ring-a-ding-ding, Samantha calls. Mm-hmm. She did not call when Big died. Nope. She did not give a text or a phone call when Mr. Big died in Carrie's arms in the shower.
Nope. She did send flowers though. She sent flowers.
Style for style. But now Carrie's moving out of her apartment for the third or fourth time. And Samantha's like, put me on speaker so I could speak to that flat.
Also with like the worst kind of like green screen, like, in the taxi cab with like the traffic going on behind her. I was like, did she film this like in a basement, or, where are they keeping her?
Oh my God, God bless her. Get in her bag, however much the head of HBO gave her for 1 minute performance. Yeah. Dressed just from the waist up like RuPaul.
Yes.
At the judges table. Just being like, hello, goodbye.
She could have been literally anywhere with that green screen. I was like, I did think like cute Fendi purse, but also like, she probably was like, I'm keeping this bag too, actually.
I'll be keeping the clothes. Thanks, Pat Fields. I'll see you later. I thought about it a lot, because people have been like, oh, I wish Samantha was on this show. But it's because of the way we remember Samantha. And I feel like if she came on the show, MPK would suck the life out of her, just like he sucked the life out of all the other characters. Mm-hmm. And so maybe it's for the best that she's like preserved in Amber as a good character with good at like directing and writing. Mm-hmm. And she hasn't
like
been
we have the Seema, who's like the new Samantha. Yeah. But also literally is like, in my opinion, doing the exact same tropes that Samantha did, where it was like, I said, I love you. And the whole thing, I'm like, that's literally a Samantha thing that already happened.
With Richard.
you're layering it over Seema, which is so lazy.
Like Seema could have a different, like if Seema's avoidantly attached at age whatever, there could be something different going on than her saying, I love you, which is it's already happened.
Yeah.
That already happened to Samantha.
Yeah.
Okay. Every episode up till now has been like 5 weeks apart from the episode before, but this one apparently is happening just 24 hours after the last episode, which is so disorienting because just like this same week, Che Diaz ripped Miranda a new one on stage during their comedy concert.
Oy.
And like all this stuff happened, and like the miscarriage just happened like 2 days ago. Anyway, we cut to drunk Charlotte waking up hungover because that was just last night.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like 8 hours after the last episode. Charlotte's waking up. Harry's freaking out. He's acting like a woman. Harry had to do chores that a mom usually does. Like this. And then Charlotte basically gives him the Barbie speech. This like America Ferrera speech.
I literally wrote that down. Yes.
She gives him the speech from the Barbie movie, and then just like a Ken, he like is like and like goes and buys her a new iPhone because her iPhone has been blended into a margarita somewhere.
Yeah. I mean, I liked that part of Charlotte. I actually found Charlotte the most refreshing and most like her old character self than any of the other women this episode. So I was like, oh, there's the Charlotte that I actually like, kind of liked from the original.
Yeah. I think Hungover Charlotte was, you know why I liked Hungover Charlotte too? Because her acting has been turned up to a 13 all season. Mm-hmm. And this was kind of back down to an 8 or something.
Yeah, I liked
and
that too.
I was like, let me take a breath with Charlotte.
Yeah.
Okay, we cut. Steve is speaking Spanish to someone with a tan. And then they say, hey, Steve, I speak English. And he's like, oh, sorry. I don't know why that had to be in there.
I know.
Don't know why. And then Miranda pops in and they have a meaningful talk.
Well, also to the person who said, hey, Steve, I speak English. Then they said, and then Steve's like, okay. Then he said, isn't this easier for you? And I was like, what? Like, so you're like pointing it out. I'm just like, yikes. It's like, I know this show is written by a boomer and like boomers can make awesome television, but there's some things in here that are like, so grandpa that I like, it's hard to unsee it. Also, like, I need to know, does Steve, whatever the fuck his name is, does he talk like that in real life?
Steve,
or is Steve the actor or Steve the human? Does he talk like that in real life? Because that accent it drives me up the wall.
Bran, why you gotta be so hard on Steve?
Well, I mean, it is like it's so grandpa-esque. I don't get it. And like, they're making him like way older. Isn't he supposed to be actually a little bit younger than Miranda? Like, they're aging him like a million years. And also, I'm not convinced if he talks like that, I will be amazed because that is such a weird accent.
Hasn't he talked like that the whole series?
Yes, but I don't like it. And then now I'm finally like, how the fuck does he normally talk? What else has he been in? I'll watch it. It's like, wow. It's really getting to me lately.
I was right about us for a very long time. Brady, the serial killer, rides up behind them on his bike and smiles at them.
Really? 6 foot tall Chucky rides up.
I wish eyebrows for Miranda. Just a note to the glam team. As a person whose eyebrows got eradicated in the 90s, I just want to know what it would look like for Miranda to have a hint of an eyebrow. I love the red hair.
I also would, I really want her hair to be styled differently. I think this, to me, also just like, I don't understand this styling. It doesn't make sense for her and her character. Like, she would be evolving in a different way. And I don't like it. I agree. She needs a kind of a full like neck up makeover.
She does, because she's hot, she's cool.
Yeah.
Just one other thing needs to happen for her.
Yeah. And she's like, now that she's like out, and I just feel like she might also like reflect that in her look.
She would get weirder.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah.
Okay, we go to Nia Wallace's office, and right on the heels of the finale, they go ahead and give us another new character who's fully realized and has his own side character, which is that old man who also taught Charlotte tap dancing back in the day in Sex and the City. He has gone to law school, and he is here to tell Nia Wallace that she is now part of the American Law Institute and she's a jewel. And he keeps talking about his nemesis, old Larry. So I'm just like, Nia Wallace is a side character, and now we have a side character, the side character talking about another side character. That's the only time we're ever going to see him. We've never seen him before. Now he's gone. She comes home and she has the storyline. Miranda, I wanted to tell Andre Rashad, but he's divorced from me, having a baby with the Coachella woman. I wish I had a man to share this with, which was Carrie's exact storyline. Remember, she had a birthday where she was like, I wish I had a man to share this with. And that's when they all said we're each other's soulmates.
Right.
Naya's got her own group of friends.
Yeah, we're just recycling. Exactly. Also, you're getting a career achievement. And like, I don't believe it that she wouldn't have other professors and other people, also Miranda, to come home and have a celebratory cheers with. Like, I don't think that the only thing, it's so lackluster that I don't have a husband.
If I was bummed that my roommate was my student and that was the first person to hear my big news, I wouldn't say that to my roommate student. I would say that to one of my close friends. Like, it was so depressing. Like, the only person I shared this with was my roommate student. Yeah, the one that commented on my hair the first episode. Yeah, that one. She lives with me now.
I can't get her out.
And she's a mess. She is a fucking mess. But anyway, now she's dragging me to her friends going away for my apartment party that's going to be catered by a Michelin chef.
Of course, Carrie just won that.
Carrie won that in a raffle.
That in a raffle. Oh, yeah.
At this point in the episode, I predicted that the Michelin chef was going to be a babe that Nia married on the spot.
Yeah.
I didn't know they were going to have sex with each other on the table, but we'll get there. Okay. So Carrie's back at her apartment. It's time for the party, right?
Mm-hmm.
The apartment has been completely cleared out. There's just a big table. It's so beautiful. And people are coming in. Lisette is like staring at her phone in the vestibule. What is she doing there? Why is she invited?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's your close friend that you want to say goodbye to the apartment with? Is that troll from downstairs?
Well, she likes her.
Why?
She likes her because she reminds her of her younger self, just like a single gal in New York trying to do stuff. She's a cool jewelry designer. And that's like, I mean, it just is like it's like a younger version of Carrie. I'm surprised we don't have the Lisette show, honestly.
I'll kill myself.
I know. I'm sorry to say. But also, I understand why she's invited because, well, they have to use her kitchen. Remember that? Because there's only shoes or clothes in Carrie's oven. Doesn't even work. And then, so what are you going to do? Be like, can I use your kitchen? And also, you can't come to the party. You kind of have to invite her.
I would. I'd be like, I gave you a deal. Go to TGI Fridays for the night. I'm going to use your apartment. This Michelin star chef might leave you a scrap if you let us use your kitchen.
That's true. Also, she might have to watch the cat. So maybe she's around to make sure the cat doesn't get out. They just put a sign on the door. But
I want her to be Carrie's new personal assistant. Then I would like her a little bit more than her. There's just like some kind of, I just don't like.
No one can top Jennifer Hudson as the assistant.
No, I was going to say, I wish that Lisette was the new Louise from St. Louis. Why doesn't Louise fly in for this party? Louise didn't even send flowers to Mr. Big Time.
Moved on. Okay.
Louise was like, I'm over this woman. I'm over this woman. Okay. So Lisette's there, which enraged me. It's like, get out of here, Lisette. And then Anthony's storyline to me, like, just like he keeps getting peppered in with true misogyny of like, I don't want to be the woman. Like, ew.
I'm like, this is written by a gay man. I was just like, I can't. I'm telling you, Michael, what the fuck is this name? Michael Patrick King. He is such a misogynist. I cannot handle it. The woman, are you really saying that? Whoever gets fucked is the woman? I had to rewind. I was like, are you out of your mind? And like his whole, I don't get fucked because like I'm not the more feminine one of the men.
Well, also
wow.
Is his boyfriend's name Giuseppe? Is that his name?
I just call him Rome. I don't know his name.
Is Roman Giuseppe? Is his whole storyline then becomes kind of rapey because he's kind of like, if you won't let me get in that butt as fast as I want to, I'm moving away and you'll never hear from me again. Right. So give it up or I'm getting out. Like it just feels very coercion-y. And
it
like,
is.
Spoiler
Also,
alert.
he said no. He said no. He said no. He said no. I mean, over and over, Anthony's saying like that. I'm not interested in that. That's not something I'm interested in. Is bottoming for you that way, right?
Yeah.
Over and over again, and then of course, oh well, all it takes is you to say like you love me and you're gonna stay with me in New York and not go to Rome, and then all of a sudden my no becomes a yes. What the fuck? What the fuck?
I don't people of the world, listeners, if someone's trying to get up in that butt and you're not interested, you get to not be interested.
That's right. There's more. I mean, not everyone is into anal. Hey, that's fine for Anthony not to be into that. I know plenty of gay men who don't do anal. Who fucking cares? Do whatever you feel like you want to do. But it's also like to call it also ass virginity. To me, it's like another flag for like puritanical, like hetero culture. And I'm just like, no. Like Michael Patrick King is really showing even more so. We already know this, but even more so his like gross, like, I don't know if it's like a religious trauma or like puritanical like roots that are like, I don't know how someone who's a gay man can be so out of touch, so hetero vibes, and also so misogynist. Ugh, yuck. Thumbs down. Thumbs way down.
Thumbs way down. And we will get to how it looks at the end of the episode too. Okay, Lisette is staring at the phone in the vestibule as the greeter, Shay, comes in. Oh my God. And Lisette's like, I love your podcast. I love it. Oh my God, Shay Diaz, you're so funny. Because in this universe, Shay Diaz is so funny. And someone like Lisette just yucks it up listening to X, Y, and me.
Yeah, no.
Why is Che invited? Che just tore Carrie's best friend a new one at their comedy concert. Carrie did not leave with her friend. Carrie did not say, Shay, that wasn't cool. Carrie was like, Miranda, you better fucking come and stare Che in the face. And Steve's invited too. Steve didn't come to the dinner.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he didn't come.
There was like so much possibility for drama of like Che and Steve and Miranda. Miranda wasn't even sitting near Carrie. Miranda was at like the end of the table with the randos. Che was at the head of the table.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't. I was like, Che, go home. Get out of here. Lisette, get away from Che. Run away with your stupid butterfly ring. And then Jackie from the podcast comes in wearing a bunch of pot holders on his head with his girlfriend's wife, Smoke, who almost ruined the Met Ball for Carrie by her dress getting fucked up at the last. And there's like no tension about that. And Jackie, why are you there? You're like a side. You're like the lowest side character. Why isn't Bitsy Von Muffling there? Why isn't Candice Bergen there?
Yes. Also, when Che walks in and says, I'm transitioning, and then has a period, and then says, emotionally.
Stupid.
I'm just like, oh, do you not have any queer and trans people on your writing staff? Like, I can't, like, I mean, I think I would quit. I would quit if I was on that writing. I would just be like, I can't be part of this. This is like, no, it does not fly. My name is attached to this. Bye-bye. Horrible.
Okay, so the Michelin chef, believe it or not, very handsome. He is one of the men who threw himself at Naya when Andre Rashad was on tour. And
loved him.
They have a reintroduction, and she introduces herself at, hi, I'm Professor Naya Wallace. Bran, you know people in academia, as do I. Have you ever heard one of them introduce himself as professor to a layperson?
I mean, no. I think if I heard that, I would be like, I am Macho Man, Bran Savage. I don't know. I would just like come back with something else. But I do think there's like maybe because he's a Michelin star chef.
Oh,
it's Michelin star chef. And so she was like, I am professor. Maybe she's probably riding the career high. So I get that she might want to be like, or I've never heard anybody say I'm tenured professor or things like that.
But she's a doctor too. Couldn't she say I'm Dr. Naya Wallace?
Yeah,
let me take out your appendix.
To teach him some things, okay?
Let me teach you. Oh, okay.
She's interested. See, like she's trying to be like, come on, I can teach you a couple things.
When you're out in the wild, just listen. I'm Professor Nicole Georges. Nice to meet you.
It sounds good on you, babe.
You like that?
Yeah, I do.
I could teach you a few things.
I love it. I did like Carrie's sleeves on a string outfit.
Oh
Or the
yeah.
party, she's wearing like a halter top, like checkerboard dress. I mean, a la Victoria's Secret Kaylor vibes, in case there's any Gaylors listening. And then it has like these like sort of see-through sleeves on a weird string. It's like a shrug, but held on by a tiny string. And I was like, okay, I can get down with this outfit. I liked it.
I like the return of the shrug.
I do too. 90s.
Happy
Love it.
Happy to see the shrug. Okay, I read this in the Vulture recap. It says when Miranda first arrives, she finds Che in their old fingering corner and they make amends.
Oh my God. Can my tombstone say, meet me in the fingering corner? Wow.
Meet me in the fingering corner. Miranda basically slaps Che in the back of the head and says, I'm here. And then they discuss, and then Che like insists that their jokes were their quote unquote jokes at their comedy concert about Miranda were so funny. And Miranda gives them the correct opinion that they were not funny. And like they agree to disagree. And they talk about their relationship like it was so long ago. And like all this happened pretty recently.
Yes. Yeah. And like I'm in my opinion, the funniest things are like, there's lots of things to make fun of, but like a recent ex who's just coming out, and I just think that might not be the best course of action for a famous comedian to do so. There's plenty of people to make fun of in this world, and that doesn't seem like the right choice.
Bran, Che Diaz just came out as non-binary, bisexual. But Che Diaz's whole thing only just happened within the past like 5 to 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
And so then Che Diaz bagging on Miranda for not being so sure about her identity at a later age just feels off the wall.
Yeah.
It feels like what is the point of you standing on stage being like, I'm a non-binary, bisexual, comedy? Like, what is the point of you being so identity focused if then you're going to make fun of somebody else for just finding their identity?
Agree. And they make that really her whole storyline, or I'm sorry, their whole storyline. So when it comes to the fact that like they're on stage and Miranda's in the audience, and like I'm sure Miranda's in a very prominent place, I feel like they could actually see them in the audience. But
of course,
and also, didn't they know Carrie was coming? Like,
yeah,
I'm sorry, but I wouldn't feel comfortable making jokes about my ex coworker / I guess friend's best friend who I just broke up with. Like, the whole thing is very cringe.
It was like non-binary Andrew Dice Clay being like, yes. My question was, why am I fucking her? Yeah. Like, you're so gross. You're so gross.
She brought her husband and her son into our bed.
I'm like, you literally brought your husband in and tried to coerce her into a 3-way when she was taking a moment to decide if she wanted that dick or not.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
I feel like maybe I know I have dated a Che Diaz in my past, and this is like circa probably 2003 or something. And guess what? We all dramatically learn our lesson and grew out of it very, very quickly. And you could not pay me to date a Che Diaz at this moment in time. And I'm sorry, it's 2023. Those jokes aren't funny. Like,
they were never funny.
They're never funny. And like, I just don't think the audience would be laughing at their jokes like that. I just don't. I think it sucks.
I have been listening to a podcast called Sexy Unique Podcast. Shout out to them for the Samantha
amazing.
Jones. Hello.
That's
goodbye.
an amazing
Sexy
title.
Unique Podcast. And they basically will just go off for tens of minutes about this world in which Che Diaz is so funny. Is the most popular podcaster comedian in the world. Has like a 48 episode, yes, greenlit, like comedy concerts all over the world, series of restaurants. Everybody loves Che Diaz because they're so funny in this universe.
Yeah, I don't get it. Like, I also thought, are they trying to emulate Che off of like Mae Martin or Tig Notaro?
They were trying to make Che like Hannah Gadsby, I think, except for with like 2 brain cells.
But I also don't think that Hannah Gadsby would ever make jokes like that.
No,
like,
Hannah,
they're like intellectual and funny and very thought provoking, and like it just seems like a 10-year-old pubescent boy wrote those jokes.
It makes me it's so upsetting.
It's upsetting.
Okay. Giovanni or whatever the Rome guy is saying, he tells a bunch of people, I'm moving to Italy. I don't know when I'll ever be back because I can't penetrate New York. And then Anthony's like, oh, I better have sex with my man or he'll leave me. Then Carrie talks about having a thrift store painting, which I do not believe. Carrie gives relationship advice to Seema, who's being avoidant. But I don't care. I don't care.
I
We
like
don't-
Seema, but Seema is basically the exact same storylines as Samantha. So it's nothing new to really get invested in.
Let her be alone like Samantha without the struggles that we saw Samantha go through in her 40s.
Yeah, good point.
Let her be like Samantha, now is like walking tall in her 50s, still being herself. She's not like, oh, I always wanted love, but just couldn't have it.
What is a gay guy kitchen?
Great question.
I was like, they're like, we have to use Lisette's kitchen because she has a gay guy kitchen.
Because the gay guys
what is that?
The gay guys that were subletting her apartment are Michael Patrick King and his husband. Lisette walks in on Anthony. Okay, Anthony and Giovanni are talking in the closet about how impenetrable Anthony is. And Lisette just walks through and is like, Carrie left the bras. I was like, okay, I have written just a little bit for TV, right? I like written a pilot. That's it. That's not a lot, but it's like a little bit, getting notes. And every minute you have such a limited amount of time on a show that everything that happens has to move the story forward, move the plot forward. Everything has to lead up to something. You don't generally just have like random shit happening for no reason. Like, who cares if Lisette gets those old bras? Why would she be excited about that? Why is she the one walking through while they're having this conversation? It makes sense when LTW walks through because it's part of her story. And when Herbert walks through, it's part of their story. Miscarriage, she got triggered by the cat, has to go cry in the bathroom. But Lisette just prancing through, being like, she left me bras from the 1980s. Like, get out of here, Lisette. Go.
Well, I'm telling you, they're setting up Lisette to be the new Carrie in Carrie's apartment. She will be wearing like the bra outfit with, a big circle maxi skirt or something a la Carrie next season. Sorry.
Okay, just as I suspected, LTW is having a little bit of magical thinking guilt of like, did I wish the baby away? Which is not a medical thing that generally causes miscarriage. I want you to know from listening to the Writers Room podcast with MPK, where he is so happy and self-congratulatory about every choice he's ever made. He was saying like LTW and her husband Herbert in the bathroom, they more or less directed themselves. So if you like any scenes with them, it's because those two actors, I think, had a side conversation and were like, let's just do what we're going to do.
Yeah. And I appreciate that. I liked that scene. Also, I think that I didn't necessarily like totally, we can relate in different ways and things like that, or whether you had a miscarriage or not, or if you suffered from infertility or things like that. I didn't totally relate to her just sort of like kind of nonchalantly being like, it's too late. I'm going to go to the hospital. I think there'd be like some more emotionality there, but I understand maybe she's checked out. Maybe she's disassociated. I get it. And I did really like, that's probably my favorite scene, or one of my favorite scenes in the whole episode was when they were in the bathroom and just kind of having a real talk about it, because everyone thinks that like, fuck, did I wish this away? Because it's all things that we don't know answers to. And I did think that was like a moment or like a touchstone of realness that I was missing. I had been missing from this whole episode. And I appreciated that part.
I wish she had an abortion last episode.
Yeah, I know. I was thinking about that too, because she just was like, I don't want to do this. But I don't know I don't think they would go there because did they go there with Samantha?
Samantha said she had abortions. Carrie said she had abortion. Miranda was about to have an abortion and didn't at the last moment.
Okay, all right.
Wouldn't it have been nice in this day and age for her to be like, I am wealthy. I have other children. I am possibly religious. And yet I cannot have a baby right now.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it would have been refreshing.
Okay. So now the Michelin star chef is bringing out a tasting, a little olive, a little gastro olive situation. And Naya is basically doing this where she's like putting her tongue in her cheek and doing the blowjob move at the chef. She's going, ah. She's like, you like this? And they're more or less having like phone sex in front of everybody.
He's like, what do I do after I put the black one in my mouth?
It squirted all over my mouth. It squirted all over my chest. What do I do, Michelin star chef?
Also, should we replicate this? So I guess it's a 1 green olive followed by 1 black olive followed by tangerine on a spoon. I don't think that would taste good, but you know what? Apparently it says explosion in your mouth.
It's an explosion. So in front of everybody, she's like, can I get this dick? And he's like,
basically,
you can.
Yeah.
You can.
Good on you, babe. Good on you.
Robbie is a guest of a guest. He's a guest of a side character at this thing, and he has his cell phone face up on the table during this, and he has his ringer on. So it's like, and he's like, gotta take this. And then Seema like chases them out after a while. And I just don't care to talk about their fight because I don't care about their fight, but she's avoided. And he's like, I haven't ticked or talked, meaning like TikTok girls are TikToking him. What does that mean? What does that even mean? You're sending a video that you made just for him saying, you're directing a Marvel movie. Okay. Carrie forces the group to do a go around of saying one thing they're letting go of. Che is sitting at the head of the table because they're Carrie's very best friend.
Yeah, so weird.
Jackie says he wants to let go of his wife, Smoke. Everybody laughs. I would be like, I'm divorcing you right now. That was what I would, if I was
So
Smoke,
rude.
I would be like, that's what you fucking said in front of a group of people at Carrie Bradshaw's house.
Yeah, it's just misogynist and rude. There's just no way about it.
Miranda is way far down the table with the new batch. Lisette should not have a speaking role. Carrie says she wants to let go of expectations.
Yeah, also she's like, you can't repeat your answer. And when Chase says, I want to let go of rules, I just was like, yeah. They make this character so one-dimensional, and it's really sad because they could have a cool storyline.
Have you ever heard of a cool non-binary person? Because I have.
I know exactly.
I want to, like, what rules has Che been going by? What rules has Che actually had, like, looming over their life? Because as far as I can tell, Che Diaz is living so free.
Exactly.
I want to let go of rules. Did you like at the end of their terrible misogynist comedy performance when Toby, the bald person's like, I love seeing an envy in their prime.
I know.
Confident and cool. After Che's like, Miranda, I'm a comedian. And Miranda's like,
It's
so
like, Miranda, I just took the lowest hanging fruit to impress this new person that I really want to go out with. And then the new person's like, oh, you're such a hot NB. Which,
I can't.
you know, as also a non-binary person, I've never been like, hey, NB to some other non-binary person. That's just not how it goes.
I saw you berating your ex, and I just want to let you know from one NB to another, that was hot. I can't wait for that to be me.
Exactly, Nicole. I mean, you think that's not going to happen to you? Whoa.
Wait for Che's next comedy concert. You better play your cards right.
What a turn on. Yikes.
I couldn't tell I was fucking her. Okay. Miranda is looking beautiful and gets to go on the BBC.
I did love that outfit on Miranda.
Miranda has an incredible red outfit, swings into the BBC, sits down, and then gets a dose of confidence from looking at her own initials tattooed on her wrist. Who am I? MH, Miranda Hobbs. And then all of a sudden, she realizes she had the power within her the whole time. And she talks about human rights violations while the
Get it.
other sexy lady from the UN or whatever looks on and directs.
I liked that. I was like, great. This could have been more of a storyline earlier in the season. So
yeah. I would love it if she had to push past the bitchy interns when she got to the BBC at the door. If they were both like in hair and makeup and she's like, I've got it, you guys. And they were like, damn it. And they took a bite of their garlic chocolate chip cookie. Carrie had a great time with her friends. She hears a pitter patter at the window. Guess who it is? Country Lurch. He's got highlights and he's throwing pebbles at her window because cell phones no longer exist in this universe. He comes upstairs. He's got no bags. He pulls out a chair, says, Carrie, sit down like a dad. Carrie sits down. He tells her the terrifying news. Wyatt, his son, who just broke his leg in 3 places and broke his collarbone, had psilocybin in his system.
Where does a
14-year-old even get mushrooms?
Wow.
And I just was like, where does a 14-year-old not get mushrooms? Like, if you said
Agreed.
he did a speedball by himself, or like he had like mescaline in his system, or he was like cooking meth in the house.
Yeah.
He was hanging out with Jesse Pinkerton and he got like locked in a basement cooking meth. I would be like, okay, but he'd be like, Carrie, he had psilocybin in his system.
Psilocybin. Where did he get magic mushrooms at 14? I was like, anywhere, literally anywhere.
Are they legal? Like,
I know.
Literally. So then he decides that he makes this arbitrary rule where he's like, no, Carrie, it's not that we have to take a break. I need to go be near him until he is 20 years old. You may not visit me in Virginia, and I shall not visit New York for the next 5 years. I will be hovering and nursing my son.
Also, he's like, I do that for my other children who are 17 and 20.
How old were you when you moved out?
You're just
Bran?
raising a bunch of man babies? Is that what's happening?
How old were you when you moved out?
I was 18.
I was like 16.
Yeah. I was directly after high school. I was like, see you later.
Bye. And we are fine. Look at us.
Here we are, both fine. We also survived the Midwest. Okay. So I don't understand parenting like that. It also is like thinking that he won't take mushrooms and drive your car into a tree or whatever if you are home. Like, I don't get it. Kids do stuff like that.
That kid needs to go to an outward bound, one of those abusive military camps.
Don't say.
He needs to go to an inpatient treatment center. He needs to get into Teen-Anon. Aiden needs to go to CODA. Aiden needs to go to Al-Anon. Like, everybody get it together.
And also, like, Aiden is that okay. So we're supposed to believe that Aiden, his personality, his dick is so good that she's gonna not see him for 5 years, even though, like, what's the flight from New York to Virginia? About like a couple hours at the most,
15
an
minutes.
hour and a half.
Yeah,
give me a break. That doesn't make any sense. It is so strange. It's very strange.
And then to celebrate, they have the most graphic sex that Carrie Bradshaw has ever had on the show.
Yeah.
Like, immediately after him saying, I'm leaving you and I would like for you to stay in your $20 million house you just bought after selling your soul apartment. I'd like you to stay locked in this box that you bought for me for 5 years. And then she goes, great, let's have intercourse.
It's like a little Beauty and the Beast. I don't like it.
If this is not, this has to be a prequel to Grey Gardens. Here's how this needs to end. It needs to end Carrie Bradshaw looking out her window with her cat named Shu as Aiden gets in the taxi, snaps his fingers. When season 3 begins, I want to see Carrie Bradshaw taking a knife, ripping open a 40-pound bag of Alpo dog food, spread across the top floor of her mansion while raccoons come in through the open fire escape. Shu and a bunch of other feral cats have taken over the 2nd level. The raccoons are on the 3rd level. Carrie's wearing her fur over her wedding gown. She's got the bird in her hair. She's wearing glasses that are askew.
Her hair's gone all gray.
Smoking cigarettes, stopped getting Botox or whatever's happening. And this is the Grey Gardens we deserve.
That's right. I agree.
If this isn't a Grey Garden setup, I don't know what is.
Well, then we're going to have Lisette in the city and just like Lisette. So
Lisette is doing Meals on Wheels to Carrie. Mother, I've been waiting for him for 5 years.
Oh my
as soon as his son's 20 years old, he's going to come. There's like ivy grown all over the house. She's getting citations from the city. They're threatening, like, Hoarders is outside. She's like, I'm going to be on television. I'm Carrie Bradshaw.
Cat has had, I don't know how many litters of kittens. There's a lot of cats.
Carrie's eaten whatever she eats. She's eating it off of a hot plate in bed.
Definitely. No, there's just takeout everywhere. There's takeout. She still has her takeout. Let's be real. But it's just really gross containers everywhere. Cats eating, Thai noodles or whatever in the corner. It's not good.
Carrie's like breastfeeding a possum. Okay. So that's what's going to happen in season 3. If you give me the job as showrunner.
Great. I think you're hired, Nicole. You gotta be better than this.
I just What happened to you when Aiden started talking that trash about the 5 years? I just started writing in all caps. Aiden, what are you doing? Carrie bought a $20 million mansion for this relationship. If this was even an option, you needed to tell her that shit before she bought her mansion.
It's not romantic, actually. And they're phrasing it, or they're making it seem like it's so romantic, like, I'm going to wait for you. Another puritanical, weird, hetero shit from Michael Patrick King. I don't get this puritanical vibe. It's like, I swear to God, he's got to be Mormon or something. He is ringing weird to me.
Was it 2 episodes ago where Carrie was like, you know what I say? When you find love, you better grab it. Because Carrie has thought about mortality. She's seen mortality. Her husband died. She doesn't know if she's got 5 years. She doesn't know if Aiden's got 5 years.
That's right.
She got 5 years to be dwindling around into her 60s, waiting for Country Lurch to come back. You know who wouldn't have liked this? Mr. Big or Petrovsky, my favorite of her boyfriends.
Agree.
I'm a Petrovsky apologist. I don't think he hit her on purpose. I think Mr. Big comes back from the grave and goes, kid, you don't need this. Gets her out of it. Petrovsky is like, that guy's beneath you. Mm-hmm. You don't need to wait for him. Go to France and be Petrovsky's wingman. If you want to like make yourself smaller for a man, at least go have fun with Petrovsky, not like Aiden codependent with his kids. Like, just go do something fun. Like, go do something cool. Like when Petrovsky's like up his own ass with his light installations, like go to the river, go smoke a cigarette, go make a souffle. It's just, I just really feel like any of those men from her past would be like, you don't deserve this.
Agree.
Carrie, you don't deserve this at all.
Agree. And like, you know, I understand that like keeping her single or whatever is like kind of part of the magic of the show. Like, or her like perpetually looking for love is a cornerstone of the show. But I don't really understand this whole like wait for me for 5 years, we can't see each other thing. I just think that is very strange.
What, fall in love with your cat. Fall in love with your new life as a mother of cats. When the Sex and the City 1 movie ended, Sex and the City 1, Big leaves her at the altar, then she gets back together with him at the end. When the lights went up in the movie theater, Sarah Shapiro and I were both crying. And part of our crying was that we were like, I don't understand what the show's trying to say. Mm-hmm. Settle? Is it trying to say settle? And I felt the same way at the end of this episode where I was like, when her and Seema were both cheersing to Waiting for Men, I was like, what is the show trying to say now? Right. Like, put your life on hold?
But also, are they putting their life on hold because are they in Greece or something? Where was the beach they were supposed to be at?
They're at Greece.
They're like, I was like, they're definitely not in America. But I was like, so your version of still living your life is basically looks like vacation, and the men, it looks like either parenting or working. It's another like weird sort of trope. I just didn't like it. I didn't like any of it. I didn't like also the iPhone advertisement. The product placement. Here's an iPhone 14 Max Pro. Or whatever. So
at the end of the episode, they play some like meaningful music while they slow pan over every person's wrap up. And Charlotte's is that she's pairing an iPhone with an iPad. Right. That is literally the wrap up of Charlotte and Harry's story for the season, is that they're pairing an iPhone.
They're like, do I want Face ID? Okay.
Should we ask our kid? I don't know. Okay. And then everyone has sex from behind. And the thing like Seema
from behind montage, I wrote down actually.
From behind montage. Seema is doing it with lots of positions with the director who's vaping. And then I also like, what is the deal? Like Anthony's basically getting ard. Like Anthony is having anal with Giuseppe, but he looks so uncomfortable.
I know. I was like, is this SA? Like it just feels bad. It feels really bad. His face couldn't be more unwelcoming or pleasurable. Like he looks like he's literally in pain. Giuseppe's like, this is the best sex of my life or whatever. And because you've set it up the whole episode with him saying no, then it's basically no means no unless you're going to go back to Rome. And then I'm going to just grit my teeth through it. Like
he's gritting his teeth through. It's like, what?
It would have been more like realistic if he actually had some poppers or something and was just trying to be like, okay, like, I'm going to try this. Or like, what if he looked back and said like, okay, let's try it. Sniff, sniff, poppers guy, and then roll over. That's realistic. Okay?
That's all we need to see. We don't need to see the actual...
Because then there's a little bit more consent and like what we don't get that. We get what looks like an SA for me. I don't like it. I was
don't
like,
like it.
this is bad.
Well, remember when Samantha dated a guy with a huge dong and she was like, take a hit a pot and be like, okay, let's try it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then
There
she
you
got
go.
to say when it
That's
was
right.
too much. Like
That's right.
that. Now that's a show. Also, like, have you ever seen like Queer as Folk? Like if Michael Patrick King is patting himself on the back, being like, I showed gay sex. Like Queer as Folk, they were having anal all the time.
Yeah.
And nobody was like, oh, I hate this. Like it just wasn't.
Yeah. Also, like, it sends a message that if you want to keep the person around, you got to do things that you don't want to do, which is just fucking sucks.
Go rip open a bag of dog food, get some raccoons, and live your best life. You don't have to hurt yourself that way. Okay, and so that's basically the end. LTW has a cuddling session as her final story arc, which was fine. Carrie does say to Aiden in her giant house, she tries to make herself believe by saying, this and this was not a mistake. Meaning her 5-bedroom mansion and getting back together with Country Lurch. None of this was a mistake. It was perfect. And then at the end, the lines are, there'll be more. Men, cocktails. And then I just wrote in all caps, kill me now. And just like that, I ordered 2 more Cosmopolitans. And then I wrote in all caps, Grey Gardens prequel. I just, like, Carrie, go to a meeting.
Yeah,
like
go to a meeting.
You've never been to therapy after the John Bon Jovi thing. Something very intense just happened to you on the heels of your I was gonna say your father dying. On the heels of your older gentleman caller dying. Like you can't just drink it away with Seema. You're gonna get trapped in amber like Seema is.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's just a letdown. And this show, I don't understand. I mean, I understand the reboot is about dollars, but I just think if you're gonna make a reboot like this, you gotta really have like, which it sounds like they did have the best writers and the best people on board, but it doesn't help if you have an overlord cutting and slashing your lines or picking and choosing the most like asinine jokes out of the bit to use. It's just a bummer. I don't know. I'm surprised they're even going to have another season. This is just like, it's just straight up bad TV.
I have something. Okay, I think Dan Levy would be a better showrunner.
Oh, incredible.
He loves Sex and the City. He's a super fan.
Okay, great.
And also my most controversial thought that went through my mind this season was even Lena Dunham would have done a better job.
Yeah, I think so too. I can't stand her, but I think that also is true.
There's a lot of people out there that are Sex and the City obsessives who actually also remember the show better than MPK. Like when Harry said like, oh, my mom's been dead for 10 years. I was like, no, she hasn't. She's been dead a lot longer than that. When you met Charlotte York Goldenblatt 20 years ago, your mother was already dead, Harry.
Right. Good call. Jeez.
There's just so many weird continuity errors. I'm like, can I be the script supervisor? Like,
I know they need you. They really do need you.
There's so many gals and gays who have been obsessed with the show for so many years. Mm-hmm. There's so many queer people around who would be so happy to lend a hand. Push a broom, punch up a script, look through their own notes, their own encyclopedic knowledge of the show. No.
I want to go be a monk with Stanford.
I also want to go be a monk with Stanford. I'm not into any of the children on the show. I think they all need to go to the farm, quote unquote, to the farm. Oh, where's Lily and Rock? Oh, we took them to the farm. What?
Well,
and we just
Chucky's
don't see them
again.
There.
Adult Chucky's already there.
Chucky's already there. We don't know if he's having sex with Lily. We don't know. And then like Wyatt and Tater and whatever the other kid's name, Flim Flam, they can all go over there too. Just like get rid of the kid. It makes parenting seem like a nightmare. Mm-hmm. It makes aging seem so depressing. Mm-hmm. It makes being queer seem like a bad joke.
Right.
I don't want to go to that fingering corner. Yeah. Bran, what grade do you give this episode?
I give it a D.
I give it like a D plus. Or the Aiden thing, the way that went down, the 5 years, the arbitrariness of when my kid's 20, after my kid has like theoretically, like, does he have like a bigger issue that I don't understand? Like if he does, Aiden needs to make a longer life plan than 20.
Yeah. And I think like children of divorce, like they're not like a monolith. So he's saying that like if he has to literally be there on the farm 24/7, never leaving, so his adult children then can come back when they have, are having big feelings about the parents' divorce. Like
Why
so
can't Carrie
his
come
ex-wife's not doing that. I don't get it.
No. Why can't Carrie come? Why not?
Why didn't he say like, I'll build you a whatever closet in Virginia? That would have been a little bit easier for me to digest than the 5
At least
years.
Mr. Big got her a closet full of shoes because he really saw her.
Yeah. I mean, Aiden is a golden retriever that's just boring. He is
He's not.
milquetoast. I don't even like looking at him. I don't like his acting. I don't appreciate him at all.
Did you like when he was crying in the car?
I can't.
If there was something, Occam's razor, which is basically like if, probably like the shortest point between A to B is the truth. And like the more details something has, the more it feels like a lie. Like adding the part about Wyatt breaking his leg in 2 places I was just like, this is too much.
Yeah.
This is too many details. Why don't you say like he had a head injury or I don't know.
Or just say like, he's more physically hurt than I realized. And I'm overwhelmed. I need to be here for my child. That's a clear communication. Then like, I'm going to fly here with no baggage, tell you to pour yourself a drink and sit down before I tell you I'm breaking up with you for 5 years, or I'm going to put you on a 5-year ice, put you on ice for 5 years. Let me fuck you real quick before I go back to Virginia to go be dad to some like man babies for 5 more years. I don't get it.
Carrie, get on Raya. Find a different country lurch. If you're looking for a simple, hardworking man, you can find him. Aiden is not.
Like, I may or may not be available in 5 years. See you later. I mean, I
give me a
understand that
call.
she's like in love with Aiden. Aiden's supposedly so great, so great. I get it. She could say like, I will try to wait for you.
Knock on wood.
I can't make promises because life is too short because my ex-husband died in front of me in the shower. That would have been more realistic.
If Carrie's looking for a father figure, if all these men are just like physically larger than her and treat her like a little child that they can carry around, at least Big was a better dad to her.
Oh, big time. Literally.
Big time.
Big time, baby.
I want to tell you one last thing, which I saw in the comments of the Vulture recap, which was somebody said, I've been complaining about the lack of continuity all season, but Carrie and Aiden go to bed in Carrie's old apartment and wake up in the new one, and Aiden arrives with nothing and leaves with his shoulder bag.
That's amazing. That is amazing. That's amazing. Okay. Yeah. That it's just a cherry on top.
It's just a cherry on top. Bran, thank you for joining me for this. Today's episode is Lo-Fi. We are breaking out of the podcast's summer break to bring you this finale recap shortly after the finale aired because I couldn't keep it to myself.
Thanks for having me. It's lovely to rip this show a new one with you.
Thanks, Bran.